Now, what a surprise that everyone on the insider's couch thinks that the Morrison government can't win the next election, because they were so right last time. What a surprise that everyone on Twitter thinks that the government is about to fall, despite the fact that we don't have to have an election until more than a year from now. It can happen any time up until May of next year. Instead, they have all said that there's no chance this government can get re-elected because of the narrative that's been built over the past few weeks. But, well, you and I both know that the next election will not be fought on whatever the heck is happening right now. The biggest question when it comes to impending news polls and all the rest of it isn't just going to be about how far the government falls, but more importantly, can Albo rise? He doesn't even have 50% of support amongst Labor people. And we remember that one of the things that absolutely did Bill Shorten in was that promise of 50% renewable energy is what he promised going into the 2016 election and lost, the 2019 election and lost. Well, as you know, there's about a dozen Labor MPs who only sit in the federal parliament because of Greens' preferences. The only way that Labor will be able to get anything done should it win the next election is with the Greens in the upper house, and the Greens are telling us up front what they plan to do. Forget 50% renewable energy. What about this? A 700% renewable energy target. That is apparently the price that the Greens are telling us up front a year out from an election that they will make Labor pay. Direct quotes in a piece today with Rob Harris in the Channel 9 press. In a shared power arrangement in government, the Greens would push for Australia to generate 700% renewable energy, turning Australia into an energy superpower, exporting clean energy to the world and fighting the climate crisis. So I presume they'll tell you up front where the windmills are going to go, right? To unlock the revolution, the government will need to lead the way with public investment, surprise, surprise, in renewable generation and storage and transforming the power grid, putting 110% effort to stop the climate crisis is no longer enough. Let's aim for 700%. Now, what does 700% look like? Of course, it means no coal. It means no gas. It means going to things like green hydrogen. But more importantly, they think it can all be done with wind and solar. But as we've talked about before, wind and solar might be able to produce the right amount of capacity at a future time. But you need to be able to store it. And even when you have the world's biggest battery in South Australia, or an even bigger battery that is coming to Victoria, you won't be able to do the job. So let's see. The way that Labor, of course, will say they don't have to pay for the promises of the Greens is we're not entering into a formal power sharing arrangement. Oh no, just more than a dozen of your MPs can only get there based off Greens' preferences. The only way that a Prime Minister Albo would be able to get anything done is for the Greens to pass anything in the Senate. They could, on day one, say they're not going to support anything, they're not going to pass anything unless 700% renewables. If we even got near that, an Albanese Labor government would be turfed at the next election